My favorite coat of all time was stolen. And no, I don't actually mean by Shein or Temu. Yet. And the short of the long of it is that it was the end of a terrible relationship in 2013 where I was kicked out surreptitiously of an apartment that I shared with this person at 2 a.m. An apartment that I did not have a key to, so I could not get back inside to retrieve my coat. And you see, this wasn't just any coat. It was a coat that was the last project that my mother and I completed together before she passed away. And while I'm under no pretense that I am the same size that I was in my 2011 body to now, I do know that I miss that coat so much. So today, I want to recreate it. But the truth is, I have never made a coat before. So I started with a mock-up. I know, right? Who am I? What is this? This isn't my channel. But never fear, this happened in July 2025, so you're still in the right place. Are you really cutting out huge pattern pieces if you don't pretend that they're a cape just once? That was lackluster. I cannot stress enough how much this barely fit on here. And this is the shortest coat. Like, so close to not fitting. And after the obligatory lower back stretch, I continued on. Now, because I was cutting out the largest size, I decided to trim to the line 22 and fold over, so that should I ever want to in the future, I can always make the smaller size. And with all of that cut out, it was time to wash the fabric. Wash the fabric. Wash the fabric. And while that was in the washer, I tried on the mock-up. Because I would be wearing this over something like this. Ow, it's a pin. And while staring at myself, I did realize that I liked most of my changes, but there were a few issues. I'd say we're 4 inches off. But if I'm being real, I think my mom did it this way too. I don't think I care that much that it's not perfectly aligned. Like, yes, it should be here to here, which would be, no. Shockingly, this fits nicely. Arms are pretty good, even with a big old saggy sweater. I'm feeling somewhat positive about this. Huzzah. But now with that all cut out, let's go ahead and take a break with the sponsor of today's video, June's Journey. June's Journey is a hidden object mystery game where we follow our heroine, June Parker, as she searches for the killer of her sister. And if you are new here, never fear, June is not. June's Journey has been a longtime sponsor of this channel, and so I truly cannot impress how much I love playing this game. Not only are there really fun hidden objects to find and search and look for in every new level, and you can decorate your island in whatever way works for you, but for me, I personally enjoy all the snowy goodness. Couldn't be because I live in Florida and haven't literally seen snow in probably 5 years. And so for my island, I have this lovely new open section, and I want some snowy goodness. So I'm going to head on into my special set, and I think we need a little winter bridge. Right there. Now all I have to do is wait until the timer is up, and then that new decoration will be added to my island, which will make it have just a little bit more chilly vibes. And I personally love to play the game when I find myself very stressed with a project. It just allows me to relax a little bit so that I can focus and get back into the sewing of things. And you can also play special events, and right now I am finishing up Fairground Fortune, which will get me this lovely 2-star pack. And so if you want to join me in playing June's Journey, you can click the link down below in the description box, or scan the QR code right here on screen to download June's Journey for free today. And it's available on Android, iOS, and PC. And thank you to June's Journey for sponsoring today's video. But now, I gotta go cut out the rest of this coat, for real this time. And for my real fabric, it did actually come from our dearly departed Joann, circa 2022, because that's how long I've been planning this project. And I chose cream-colored polar fleece and a white lining. And now listen, if there's one thing that my mother taught me that I can now teach you, it's that even this fleece has a nap. A napped fabric, according to my 1970 Vogue sewing book, is defined as fabrics which are brushed after weaving to produce a directional, fuzzy surface on one side, such as fleece. That's right, there is one direction where this fleece will look normal, and then the other direction it might look slightly darker or lighter, depending on the light. However, thankfully, the fabric that I had picked, you couldn't really tell one direction from the other. And for those of you shouting at your television, phone, and or computer, however you're watching this, why are you using fleece? The answer is because that's what my mother used, and I literally want the exact same coat all over again. It doesn't have to make sense, friends. Sometimes it's just sentimental. So I started out by finding the middle of my fabric and laying it out on the floor. Then I went along the middle and cut it with some help from the Junior and Sniftigator. Marshmallow! And then I turned the whole thing so that the up direction was closest to my little fan there in the corner, and the down of the nap was closer to my empty carpet next to me. Once I had that all laid out, the Junior and Sniftigator did have to leave his paw of approval. And then I was ready to lay out my pattern pieces. And because this fleece is just so thick, I did have to use very long pins. No, not that one. Yes, much better. And yes, I am still so old school that I do pin all of my tissue to my pattern pieces. It's just how I prefer to sew. And trying to be as judicious with my fabric as possible, since Joann's isn't around anymore, I got to cutting. After I did the first half of the pattern, I did need a little break.
A few moments later.
And now, feeling rejuvenated, almost close to 10 p.m., it was time to start cutting out the second half, which only went so well. Do I care that we are slightly off? Yeah, I kind of do. So I set to task straightening up that piece. I am 40 and still crawling on the floor to cut out things. Do. One of these days I'll actually buy knee pads. Today was not that day. When will that day be? Great question. I see why Mom had me do this when I was 20 years younger. Just need a second to be old. I can do this. This is my core workout for the day right here, kids. Who needs a gym when you can cut crap on the floor? And with that pearl of wisdom given out to all of you, it was time to actually finish cutting this out. If you have a spare 20-year-old lying around to do this, you should probably do that instead of what I'm doing right now. But thankfully I was able to get it all done. Okay, it is literally almost midnight, but I finally have all of the lining and all of the pieces cut out. And now I definitely think it's time for bed and to investigate how to not cut giant princess coats on the floor next time I want to make one of these. So we'll see you tomorrow morning. Good morning. Oh, I feel so much better after a little bit of sleep, a lot of coffee, and, well, a fair amount of vintage work. But That's neither here nor there, because what we're here today is to make the coat, please. I would like to start making the actual coat instead of just cutting it out on the floor like a gremlin. Now, if you're new around here, I usually don't use Polar Fleece. And by usually don't, I mean I never have used it. Because again, the only time I have used Polar Fleece legitimately was for this coat 20 years ago when my mother made it, and the only thing I did was cut the dang thing out, which I'm very clear as to why that was now. So last night I did absolutely sit down and watch a couple tutorials, yes, I know that is possible, it does actually happen occasionally on this channel, about how to use fleece. So what I have done to try and set myself up for success is, not only have I lowered the pressure, the tension, the foot pressure. I know words. I have lowered the pedal pressure, the foot pressure, the sewing foot pressure. I have lowered the sewing foot. I literally don't know how to say this. I lowered the tension between the foot and the bed of the daggone sewing machine. That's what I did. And after that, I then cranked up the distance between my stitches. I usually sew it like a 2.5, and they did advise cranking it up to like a 3.5 or 4. And now I did leave the walking foot on, so we'll see if this works. In my head, it helps it get through. I don't know if that's true because I technically lowered the pressure between the foot and the thing. I don't know if it's actually going to help, but you know what? We're going to find out. Oh yeah, and this part about cutting interfacing, the joys of using fleece is that I have read everywhere that if you use Polar Fleece, which is polyester, and you try and put interfacing on it, the heat with which it would take to actually apply the heat to the fleece will melt your fleece, and I don't want to do that. So I guess I get to skip that step. Whee! And for once in my chaotic existence, I actually did a test sew on these two pieces just to see how all the changes would work. And it looked pretty good, so I moved forward. Which means that once I laid everything out, it was time to do some stay stitching. And honestly, I chose just to do as much of this as possible, so not only did I do the 2 front pieces, the top of the back piece, but I also did my gathering stitches in both sleeves. And then the reason they want you to do that is because once you have stay stitched your front piece here, you're going to take your side front and pin it onto the next section. But this curve right here is going to be too curvy for the front. So that's why they have you stay stitch that front piece so that you can clip into it and it won't pull the fibers even more into your garment. Oh yes, and one of the other tricks that I was taught in that video was that if you take your fabric along a cut side that stretches and you pull it, it will always curve to the wrong side. So like this is clearly the right side and that's the wrong side. And then it was time to get pinning, but not without a side of whimsy. So then as directed, I clipped my edges and pin down the rest, which is a technique that I do think I will be taking forward because that made that so much easier than normal princess line sewing. And I just want to take a moment to shout out and thank my amazing Chaos crew. Those are the folks on my Patreon and my YouTube membership that truly help make these videos possible. Because listen, I know this is just another sewing video with you asking yourself, how many more angles can this woman video herself sewing at the exact same machine in the exact same place? 1 down, 1 to go. Which the answer is, I don't know. I've tried a lot of them and I keep trying to find new ones for you to keep it interesting. But truly, these type of sewing projects are mainly funded by my members. So if you enjoy this type of content, consider joining and helping me create the sewing chaos and reality that the internet needs. And with the front all completed, it was then time to tackle the back. However, once I really got cooking, I was really moving and grooving, everything was going well, I realized something. Hello? Can we not? My mom used the wrong side of the fabric because I liked the look of it better than the right side. I guess mine's just gonna be different. I mean, I know I could take apart the whole thing, but fleece doesn't come apart easy. So, mine's just gonna be different. It's gonna be okay. Well, to say that that's probably the worst thing that could have happened is a little bit of an understatement, because I did want this to be exactly like my old coat, and now that I've felt the texture and looked at it long enough, the sense memory of said coat went, you did this wrong. I'm not gonna undo it, and I can't go buy more fabric because Auntie JoJo's is gone. It'll be fine. It'll just be my version, Stephanie's version of the coat, I guess. Knowing all of that, the next step in these instructions is to install the pockets after you sew the shoulder seams, which absolutely do not do that. No, 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 no. Do them individually. Individually. So I'm going to go ahead and attach the pockets almost the way the instructions say, because even though I feel slightly defeated, I do feel just a smidge bit good that even modern patterns don't tell you everything. So for those of you that are always scared of vintage patterns, I give you the pocket instructions. Would you like to take a wild guess as to what's missing? That's pretty key if you want to, I don't know, find your pockets. Yeah, understitching. They don't mention understitching at all. Here, let me show you. Let me just fix this for them. Okay, right here. Understitch. Here you go, Vogue. I fixed it for ya. We can be sad and salty, right? But I'm going to go ahead and install these pockets off camera because you've seen me do this many a times. And I will see you tomorrow to keep going because I think pockets is all I got left in me tonight. Good morning. This is day 3. I obviously am being very silly and blindfolding myself because I have never seen this even vaguely pinned onto me yet. So, Ned, as you saw, walked me in here.
The door.
That
is the door.
That's the door. I don't know if you can see him. Now would be a great time to wave.
Hi.
I don't know what this looks like. I am excited because it's warm. Although I am in Florida, so go with God. But let's look together. Well, first time for me. You've been seeing this the whole time. So 3, 2, 1.
It's stuck in your hair.
Amazing. Oh, well, look at that. All right. That looks like a coat, y'all. Oh, wow. I know it's like 6 princess seams, but gimme something here. Do I need to take it in? No, because if I take it in any farther, I won't have room for sweaters. Which, let's be real, when do I wear a sweater and a coat in Florida? Never, but we're manifesting not living here anymore. That's really what's happening. So let's go stitch these actual sides and shoulder seams together. Also, that ease they were talking about, yeah, that does not exist. And with that revelation, I began to sit down and really prepare to sew, only to get an unpleasant surprise. Your sewing and embroidery computer has now reached the time limit where, in order to... Did this thing lint so much that the sewing machine is yelling at me? I want to be so clear. I just did this, like before this project. Oh God. Oh my Lord. What is that? Now, thankfully, this is not the type of error that involves your sewing machine going to the sewing spa.
Well, yeah, that's dusty.
AKA the place to go get it actually serviced. It was something that I just had to clean up myself. Wow, that's just from, like, that's all white. And as I have no idea where this audio file ran off to, here is me turning on the machine again and hoping it'll work this time. Let's see what she says this time. Crossing our fingers. No whammies, no whammies, no whammies. I did it! It's not gonna yell at me. Yay! We'll see how long that lasts. And so I set back to task sewing up all of my side seams, which sounds easier than it actually is. Because remember, folks, the pockets are made from the very thin and lightweight lining material, whereas the fleece is a big chunky boy. So when I would go from the main body fabric to the pocket fabric, 1, the sewing machine would absolutely throw a hissy fit, and 2, I had to adjust all the settings back to regular mode so that I would not completely screw up these pockets. And in retrospect, personally, I should have picked a thicker, regular fabric for these pockets. Probably the mock-up material would have been a better choice because it is a beefier fabric and it wouldn't have gotten chewed alive in my machine. Did I mention I hate lining fabrics? They're the devil. Now with the sides and the annoying pocket all sewn up along the sides, it is time to unfortunately take a quick break before I install the twill tape along the shoulders so they won't stretch. But to you, it'll happen right now. Yes, indeed, folks, it is just a little bit later, and by a little bit, I mean it's currently 10 p.m. But so goes the life of a mother, so let's go ahead and sew up it's late. Let's go ahead and sew up these shoulder seams. And do I have the energy to put in sleeves tonight? Unknown. Now, thankfully to do this, it's actually pretty easy. I've already pinned everything so that it goes in the direction where the bulk of my fabric is not in the neck of the sewing machine. And then I'm going to take my twill tape, which is probably like a 1/4 inch? Yeah, a 1/4 inch. And all I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to lay it over top of where I'm sewing and stitch it down. This just helped my other dress, the panda one, from stretching at a place where it really needs to not stretch, because fleece is actually a knit fabric. So let's go attach this on. And once all that was attached, I also had the energy just to put the sleeves together along the bottom. Nothing else. Good morning. The only thing I remember that my mother told me about this coat is that the collar was hateful. So I'm gonna save that for like the very last thing before I do the facing, which you have to do the collar and then the facing, you can't mess those around. So let's go ahead and attach some sleeves to the coat was supposed to be there and I forgot to put it there. It's fine, welcome to the channel. But after yesterday's escapade, I wanted to start my day by cleaning out the machine just so that the machine wouldn't yell at me. Okay, listen, I was gonna do the cute transition of like tossing it on and then showing you the next one, when I realized that I'm changing enough to this coat that I should probably just show you. So of these two, this shoulder right here has not been adjusted. This is me pinning it along the seam. You can see my shoulder is actually here, but this seam is like a good 3/4 inch down. I don't like that look. Editing Stephanie jumping in here to say that the pattern technically has you put in a shoulder pad, but trust and believe, my mother didn't put in shoulder pads and neither do I. So on this shoulder, I fixed it. You can see here, shoulder. Look at how nice that sits. Bad shoulder, good shoulder. Just goes to show you that sometimes you don't always have to cut exactly correctly, and you can just work on fit later on. Ah, stop unpinning yourself. So then it was off to fix the other shoulder and get to stitching. Yeah. Now that's all done, I don't have a choice but to do the collar. Which, here's the thing. Come here. Did I mention that when I made the undercollar / top collar, I didn't actually measure really anything. I just sort of guessed. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take my upper collar. I'm going to lay the undercollar onto it. I'm gonna pin it so that the two pieces of the undercollar actually line up with the upper collar, because I don't think I did that right. That's heckin' wrong. Look at how much there is there. Whee! So I pinched out the overage to make the pieces lay nicely together. And the fact that these pieces stood up directly straight together made me giggle like a kid running around yelling 6-7 at all the adults while they have no idea what they're saying. Then it was time to stitch it on up. Trim the edges. And turn it around. And yes, folks, I actually did find my mother's point turner buried in the box with the instruction manual for my sewing machine that I found recently. So now I can properly turn points without using my overly sharp scissors to do it. And it was at this point that I really decided that I did actually want a top stitching detail. Which meant that because this was so fluffy and had the potential to melt, I did have to finger press the edges together and pin them down so that they wouldn't roll and show off the underside on the top side of the collar. All right, and we have under back collar, the back half of the collar. So I think the only thing that I just did differently, that you know what, if I'm making Stephanie's version, it's fine. I know now that I've done it, mine did not have the top stitching aspect of it. So that's okay. I like top stitching. I think it looks polished and fun. It also holds the structure for this wibbly wobbly son of a so-and-so. So I'll take it. Which means that now I need to rinse and repeat all of that for both lapels, so let me go finish that. And with that all basted into place, it was time to tackle the facing piece. Then with that in place, I did go ahead and level out the hem of the skirt, which don't ask me how I got that off. I think I'm just terrible at cutting. It's fine. And then I did use my blind hem foot to go ahead and give it a hem. However, I forgot to record literally any of it. And done. Well, okay, as done as it's gonna be for this video, because okay, I need to be real with you here for a second. This project, that thing right there, that is the hardest thing I've ever done. Is it because of the pattern? No, actually. Besides the 30 steps that are the lining, actually goes together pretty easily. The problem has been this thing between my ears, the gray matter up there, because every stitch reminded me of my mother. It was very confronting for me. It's been very cathartic too. Like I've loved the fact that I now get to have my coat back. Y'all, I get to have my coat back. I get to have my coat back. I get to have my coat back. I don't think you realize how much that makes me happy. Even though this isn't like done perfectly. No, it's not. But that's because in my head, the lining needs to be absolutely serged. I have a serger. I have never serviced said serger. I haven't had this serger serviced in my care. I have owned this since my mother passed away in 2011. You should not use a 15-year-old machine that hasn't been serviced. Just willy-nilly, especially a server. Serger. This is where my brain got caught up. I could have asked a friend, driven down, use their machine, but I think the time has come that I actually need to service this machine so that I can use it and finish this coat. I wanted to share that with you, and I wanted to be truthful because, you know, I can sit here. I could have shot this, so you never would have known. But I don't like to do that. I would rather be honest with you about where I'm at and how the project went. And I do look forward to finishing it properly once I service the machine. And if you want to join me playing June's Journey, make sure that you are scanning the QR code right here or clicking the link down below in the description so you can download it for free today and play it on Android, iOS, and PC so that we can all go figure out who's the killer of June's sister. But now, I think it's time to go check out the final reveal. But with that all cut out, let's take a little bit of break with the sponsor. So today, goodbye buttons. Ew, that's a pin. That's still way too low.
It is now recording. The red light is on. Let me look at myself. Yes, I'm good. Okay. Moosh. Thank you.
If you're still hanging out the very end of the video here, these are not the first tears I have cried, but these are the first happy tears because I have my coat back. And I didn't know how much I needed that. Bye, y'all. Stay sewing in chaos.